Okay, so I am doing two videos on Street Fighter 6's roster. One is going to be randomized by these guys, and it's extremely long, and I'm going to cut it down so that it doesn't look nearly as bad. The other is going to be an educated guess. And so if you want to see the randomized version, that's going to be a little link in the top corner there. If you are watching the randomized version, there will also be a link. There will be a link in the top corner to take you to the educated guess. The idea is basically, I'm going to make a prediction. I'm going to let randomization make a prediction, and then we'll see who was actually right by the end of it. Probably neither of us. But it would be curious, I think, to see how close I can get versus how close a bunch of dice get. So, without further ado, I'm going to jump in and I'm going to make my educated guess. Now, I did an educated guess video before, actually. Before I did my randomized video. The problem with that was I totally forgot that I needed to include some Street Fighter 2 people. Basically decided I'm going to modify my educated guess slightly. This is what the randomizer gave us. And I'm going to keep this right here. And I'm going to add 10. Because I'm pretty sure Ken's going to be in here. I don't think there's been a Street Fighter title where they did not have Ryu and Ken in it. There have been Versus titles where Ken is not in it, but there have not been Street Fighter titles where Ken has been in it. So, the only things I've added in here are these four, which I think are guaranteed, and that there are going to be 5 total newcomers. My educated guess is based on what Street Fighter 4 did, and based on what Street Fighter 5 did. Street Fighter 4 launched with 24 characters. Street Fighter 5 launched with 16 characters. I could say, well, obviously they're going to drop it down to like 10. No, I don't think they're going to do that. Not unless they make this like a free-to-play game. So, barring that, I think they're probably going to shoot for probably in the ballpark of 20. Not counting boss characters like Gil or stuff like that. So, no, I did say 5. 5 is the number I had before. I'm sticking with 5. We're going 5 newcomers. So, if 20 is our number, we're already down 9. So we have 11 left. Not a lot. Doesn't give you a lot of wiggle room. The newcomers I'm not going to bother to try to figure out, by the way. There's just no way of knowing what they're doing behind the scenes. So, yes, it could be somebody that's related to the Street Fighter saga and just has never been playable, but I'm doubting that that's going to be true of all 5 of them. And also, I'm not doing Evil Ryu, I'm not doing Violent Ken. If those show up, great, fine, whatever. I don't think they should be in here, at least not in the starting roster. So, without any further ado, let's go ahead and look at who we should bring in here. And most of the base roster is going to be based on the fact of who you're going to use in the arcade mode and the story, as well as having a variety of characters that you can use, right? So you need enough story basis that you can tie most of the characters in together. As far as where it falls in the Street Fighter timeline, how the timeline works is SF1, then Alpha, 2, 3 is all the way at the end of the timeline, 4 is between 2 and 3, 5 is between 4 and 3. So, you could make an argument for 6 being past Street Fighter 3, like far in the future. You could make an argument for it being replacing Street Fighter 3 in the timeline, like it's an alternate timeline. Or you can make an argument that it comes before Street Fighter 3. I'm assuming that it's either coming before Street Fighter 3 or is taking place on top of it in terms of the timeline. As in, it's like an alternate timeline. So, I'm thinking Street Fighter 3 characters are going to be the ones that are the main focus, like the main hub of where our story characters are going to come from, and particularly characters who haven't really been in anything else. But that's as a boss character, so he doesn't actually count for the total. So like if we have Gil as the boss character for this one, and then we have Alex and Necro and Sean finally as a playable character again, and then we also have Remy to explain what exactly is his whole deal, because I mean, there's some backstory in his ending, but none of it makes any sense. So, and he's only actually shown up in one game, whereas Necro has shown up in the entire 3 series. Remy's only been in Third Strike. So, we don't know a whole lot. We know more about Necro than we do Remy. So this is my thinking. If we needed more representation, we might do Urian, but I think this is what we're going to get for Street Fighter 3. Is Alex, Necro, Sean, Remy, and Gil as boss character. If this is our main hub, then we need characters that play into that. From Street Fighter 5, there's Laura. Laura is Sean's sister, so that's a direct connection that you're just not going to be able to get around. The only other character from Street Fighter 5 I think really has a shot. There are plenty of DLC characters that I think are interesting and would make interesting storylines in and of themselves. But there's really only one breakout character from Street Fighter 5 Vanilla, and that's Rashid. And so I don't think they can get away with just Laura and Luke from Street Fighter 5. I think it's going to be Laura and Rashid. I think the Cammy fan base is too high for her to be ignored. So we're going to add Cammy. Most of the World Warriors don't feel like they would fit anymore, just because so much is, we're sort of past all that. And there's not a lot of Street Fighter 4 originals that I would think need to come back, but Viper is the only Street Fighter 4 vanilla character that hasn't come back from into Street Fighter 5 yet. The only female character anyway. And Viper apparently shows up in a lot of characters, like personal stories, but she doesn't show up in like the actual game, like actual cinematics or as a playable fighter. So I think they're going to want to try to bring Viper back. Alternatively, Jury could come back again, because I think Jury was probably the breakout character for 4. Viper was the one they wanted to be the breakout character, and it just didn't happen. So based on that, I think there's probably going to be a push to put Viper in, but I think Jury's going to end up being back. I don't know, they might make some changes to her. And then this does have sort of some story tie-ins because of these 3. So, in terms of grapplers, we have Alex. He's mostly a grappler. Necro's a pseudo grappler. Laura's sort of a grappler. So I think we're okay on grapplers. We don't have very many dedicated grapplers. Yeah, okay. So if we do Sakura. that has a few tie-ins here. We need to tie up some loose ends with Ryu. I think they gave Seth a new body for the Street Fighter V DLC. It seems like there's more they could do with that. So, I'm gonna say Seth makes a return in the new body just to sort of toy around with that, because that also ties in with Cammy and the dolls and stuff like that too. So, okay. Mika. That gives us another grappler. We get to see a little bit more of this rivalry that we didn't see before, which they kind of hinted at in the story, but didn't really do anything with. It also gives us another female character, so we're kind of getting more even on the female characters. I mean, this is probably the most female characters I think that have been in a Street Fighter roster just from the start. I don't think that's a bad thing. If you look at King of Fighters 15, almost exactly half the cast is female and the other half is male. So we're making slow but steady progress toward a more diverse cast here. So plus we have a pretty decent spread of body types going on. So yeah, I think so. I think this will be what I say is my educated guess. I don't know that, well, guaranteed. Those four I think are guaranteed, and then these are the ones I think are going to be here, plus 5 newcomers, and Gil is actually a boss character. So I'm technically 21. An educated number of 20 characters. I'd say 5 of them are going to be newcomers. The other 15 are Ryu, Ken, Chun-Li, Luke, Sakura, Armika, Cammy, Alex, Necro, Sean, Remy, Juri, Seth, Laura, Rashid, and Gil as a final boss type character. Not playable, or at least not initially. So, that's my educated guess. If you want to see what a randomized dice version says, you can click the link. If you want to see more videos like this, hit the like button. If you want to see stuff like this more often, hit subscribe. We normally stream on Tuesdays and then occasionally on the weekends, so check out Nyuuron319 on Twitter to check out any updates if schedule changes and whatnot. So, and we'll catch you next time.